My name is Jillian Parekh, and I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I hope to one day inspire women with invisible disabilities to overcome their limiting beliefs and start the business of their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women beat their inner imposter using neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Let's get started, girlfriend. Hey guys, so this week's episode we have Larissa Parekh, and yes, the name. Larissa is my younger sister. She's 2 years younger than I am, and she actually started her public speaking coach journey 2 years after I started my coaching journey as a mindset coach. She's been public speaking since 2017 in her job as a recruitment officer for a university here in Ontario, Canada. And this was a really great episode. It was the night before my 28th birthday, so March 20th, and actually it's the 21st today, so today's my birthday as I'm recording this intro, and we were just hanging out, chilling during like all this COVID-19 drama llama, so we're trying to social isolate together, and I was like, do you want to record an episode with me? And she said, yeah. So this was really fun. We definitely recorded one and realized most of it didn't record, so we had to re-record it. So if you hear us talking about, well, you said this before or whatever throughout the episode, that's what that is. But I'm really excited to get you guys hearing about Larissa's journey as a coach, her bouts with imposter syndrome. Chester's really excited too. That's why he's rooting around in all my stuff in the office here. But I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode, and let me know your feedback. Let me know if you liked it, and it's going to be really funny because when we get together, it's just like chaos, and we usually crack a lot of jokes and say a lot of dumb shit. So I'm sure you guys are going to love it. Here you go.
While we're at it?
Do I want a what while we're at it?
A cookie.
I think we're good. Definitely gonna leave this in the episode though. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. Welcome back.
Wait, can you start over? I just called myself a fat ass.
No, we're gonna leave that in.
Podcast.
That, my friends, is what self-talk shouldn't sound like.
Glad I can be here today to set the example.
So glad. Okay, guys.
Wait, where's my water bottle?
Oh my god. It's
Seriously?
right there.
Where?
It's right there. Okay,
My
guys.
thick thighs were in
hello. This is my podcast.
the way.
Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empower podcast with me, your host, Jillian Parekh. I am here today with Larissa Parekh, and I know you're thinking. Nope, you're thinking. Same last name, no relation. We don't know each other.
Okay, first of all,
there is no relation.
That's not what we discussed. You were supposed to say two-time Grammy nominee, better-looking sister of the two.
Oh, right. I didn't know that you had a Grammy.
Only.
Sorry. Larissa is a public speaking coach, and she owns her own business called Soapbox Moments, which was coined by our mother. Is that correct?
The term soapbox was I put the moments at the end, which really put it together.
Basically, you did nothing.
Basically, I'm the creative in this process.
Right. Larissa, thank you so much for doing this episode. So actually, it's really funny because we're literally on my couch. It's the night before my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow. I'm turning 28.
That's what night before means.
Yes. The night before my birthday. Shut the fuck up. And Larissa is sleeping over, and we're just hanging out. And I was editing another person's podcast, and I was like, Mom, this episode's really shitty. Do you want to be on my podcast? And she was like, okay. So we have a lot of ice cream. We're gonna watch a movie on Disney Plus.
Tell them what it is.
Cheaper by the Dozen. Yeah. Classic. Hilary Duff in her prime. I don't know.
Steve Martin.
I feel like she's in her prime, and
she's always in her prime.
So that's actually so accurate. She's literally always in her prime. I've never not liked Hilary Duff.
I know, she's great.
Yeah, she's amazing. So anyways, Larissa, thanks so much for being on the pod.
You know what, we're so we, as in,
we are so welcome.
me and my team are really grateful to be here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for your team, aka, what are these called?
Okay, let's not.
Dark chocolate chunk cookies.
Okay, let's leave the cookies out of
Thank you
it.
so much for being here. Thanks for also leaving me a cookie, considering you ate 2 sleeves. Anyways,
I feel like very exposed.
we are going to talk about business eventually. But yeah, I don't really have a plan for this podcast, but
It's
first
sounding
of
great.
all, let's hear a little bit about you. Who was your inspiration growing up? Your sister.
Not true.
And Britney Spears or Christina
Inaccurate.
Aguilera. But yeah, so tell us about how you started your business and why you started Soapbox Moments.
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here.
Sorry. That's what an interview is, but okay.
Well, I think you would remember when we were in Alberta. Where are you going?
Getting water.
Oh. When we were in Alberta, and I was like, yeah, I'd really love to start my own business and do something similar to what you're doing in terms of having like a passion project, especially because when I ended university, I started working and I didn't have anything to do. Like I wasn't really part of a community anymore, which was really hard for me. And then I was just going to work and coming home and watching Netflix for 8 hours a night. So like I wanted to have a passion project, and we were in Alberta and we were in Golden. No, BC, sorry. We were in Golden.
Which is BC.
Yes. And we were sitting there, and I think it was you, and you were like, you should be a public speaking coach. And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, and we were sitting, it was like me, you, and Mom, and then Dad you guys were sitting under the blanket. You and Dad.
Oh, yeah.
And we were sitting there, and and I was just like, I think it would be really cool to like start my own business, but I just don't have like anything that I feel like I'm good at. And you and Mom were like, you literally public speak all the time, because my job isn't, if all of you viewers on here, I work with the university. I'm a recruitment officer, so my job is literally to travel around Ontario and give presentations and public speak all the time.
Yeah.
That's actually like how it got started. And then that whole summer, I basically was like putting stuff together, thinking of things. You chirping me for overthinking everything.
Right.
And you were like, just fucking start it.
Just fucking
And then
start.
I launched my Instagram page the end of August of 2019.
And just to lead into that, what were the kind of thoughts you were having around just starting? Because I know, as my specialty is in like imposter syndrome.
What?
And I know.
I had no idea.
This podcast is called From Imposter to Empower.
Shut up.
Did you know that?
No.
Okay, wow. All right. You can get the fuck out. So basically, I want to kind of dive into what kind of thoughts you were having as to why you couldn't get started, why you felt like you needed all these things. Because one of the things that I routinely see come up with people is they feel like they need to like have a website and do a bunch of things before they can actually just take the action and get started. So what was your thought process behind that until you just fucking did it?
Well, Jillian. For me, I have zero knowledge, or had, past tense, zero knowledge in business. I went to school for human rights and sociology. So, like, I had no idea in terms of what the, I guess, like, background work and the homework and the research to literally start your own business. So I feel like anything that I did wasn't the right thing because I never took business. I never took anything that was related to it. So for me, it was like I would think of something, and even though I was like, wow, this could be a really great idea, I was always like, well, fuck, is it actually what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I had no idea.
I think that, like, leads into a little bit of a lot of, like, I should be doing this, like, shoulding all over ourselves in terms of thinking, like, it should be a certain way. And that can really get in the way of, like, taking action on ideas because you think it should be a certain way. You should be doing things a certain way.
I think, I'm cutting you off. I think,
great. Okay.
I think should, classic. I think should is the second part. The first part is being so uncertain and then doing the research and seeing how other people, let's say, for example, I wanted to start on Instagram. I was looking at all these other business coaches, and that's where the should came in.
Yeah.
I should be doing it like this. I should be almost like imitating the way that other people are doing it because it works for them.
Yeah.
But that first, like, I think that's the shoulding all over myself. It's funny. Is definitely the second part, but the first part is like going into the battlefield like totally, completely blind.
Yeah, definitely. So you feel like when you started your business, you had a lot of that like inner imposter things come up in terms of like, can I do this? Should I be doing this?
Yes.
Was that coming up at all?
Like that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
the whole time. But
yeah,
like you're never like, oh my God, I suffer from imposter syndrome. Like you're never
right.
like thinking that, but it's
right.
just like I overthink all the time because I want it to be perfect. I want it to be good, and I want it to like illustrate like all like I want it to be me. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to put something half-ass out there because it's not me. Mm-hmm. And I think I felt like if I wasn't like working on it 100% of the time, putting all my effort into it, like it needed to be 100% perfect. I needed to be 100% confident in it. And if it wasn't, I was like, well, I can't put it out there because it's not going to be authentic. It's not going to be me.
So like when it comes to perfectionism, that is definitely like a component of feeling like an imposter because you think it's not good enough unless it's perfect. So it can really be hard for people to put things out there because they're like, if it's not perfect, then it's not good enough, and I don't even want to try.
And the idea of perfect is what's the problem, because I'm just like, I'm always like, yeah, I want it to be perfect, but then I don't actually have a definition of what perfect is. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm actually never satisfied. Like I'm never, even stuff that I put out now, like yes, I'm still putting it out there, but I'm still like, oh, I could have done this like a little bit later, or I could have thought about this more creatively, or I could have worded something like that. Yeah. I think the idea of perfect is the most frustrating thing because we want to do our best, but we don't know what our best is all the time.
I think with that too, I don't think that like always goes away. Like, but the thing is you're doing what you can with the information you have at the time. Like, if you were to look at my Instagram a year ago, you would look at it and be like, wow, like this is so much shittier than the content you're putting out now. But like it's because I was doing what I could on Instagram at the time. Like I didn't have a social media manager. I didn't have experience with a ton of clients, so I know how to like write to my ideal client. So when it came to really like learning how to do things, it just comes with time. And I think people compare themselves a lot and look at what everybody else is doing and see that and be like, well, I have to be just as good, even though that person could have like 10 years of experience or something. But I think that's just what happens right now in the online space. It needs to be like just as good or it's not good enough.
And I think like that's how I approach public speaking too, where a lot of people, they are just like, oh, like I don't want to do it because I'm scared of this, this, and this. And it's like, I get that. Definitely been there. But you can't actually get better until you do it. Yeah. Until you try it. And it's the same thing. Like when I first started my Instagram or I first started my business, I was very much like, I don't want to come across as this, I don't even know. Like I want people to know that I actually do know my stuff. And if I don't put it out there in a certain way, people won't take me seriously. They will think that I don't know my stuff or whatever. Hello, imposter syndrome. Hello, welcome to this conversation.
Oh, I actually want to talk a little bit about now, like public speaking and imposter syndrome, or like what's something that you commonly see when it comes to like people who are afraid to public speak.
Yeah, I think the people's biggest fear when it comes to public speaking, there's a lot, but the most popular and common one that I hear is what other people are thinking about them. Anytime somebody steps on stage, raises their voice, speaks up in a conversation, raises their hand in class, people who fear what people are potentially criticizing about them. And I think I see a lot of people who don't want to speak up and who don't want to public speak because they genuinely don't want to think about the potential consequences and the potential criticism from other people.
You were saying that like, so for all of you guys, like, we had a whole thing recorded and then we realized that it wasn't recording. So that's why I'm saying.
So this is super fun.
So this is our second round of doing this. But you were saying before that, like, people will be afraid to public speak because of that criticism that they'll probably never actually hear from somebody.
Right.
They're just acting on that fear because they're afraid that somebody is going to be like, wow, that was really brutal. But like, you're actually...
Nobody knows. Yeah, you never, after you public speak or after you have a conversation or whatever, you don't go up to somebody and you say, like, hey, like, was I really shitty? Mm-hmm. Like, were you thinking shitty thoughts of me? Mm-hmm. No one literally thinks that or says that at all. And I think we are our own biggest critics. As lame as that is, as much as you hear it, it's so true. Where, like, the things that you think about yourself, somebody isn't sitting there being like, huh, yeah, she does scrunch her face when she talks.
Yeah.
Or she does hiccup over her words. Or people aren't thinking that the way that you are.
So true. Like, your internal representation of yourself, like, you think it's reflected in everybody else around you, but it's really just your internal dialogue and the way that you receive yourself. That's why it's so important to work on that confidence and work on that worthiness, because that energy is going to really show when you're around other people. Obvious to people if you feel insecure. It's obvious to people if you're not confident in yourself. And something that we were saying on the last recording that didn't record was that with our brains, like, those people who are so afraid of that criticism, of that rejection, it's because your human brain is literally wired to estimate risk and to estimate danger.
Like, so flight or fright. Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. So in that regard, you're thinking like, okay, somebody is going to be thinking negatively about me, and that's because you're trying to defend yourself from whatever is coming your way, but you're not afraid of what people think about you. You're afraid of how you'll feel when you know what they think.
Yeah.
So even though you're going to be on stage and you'll probably never know what Lucy thinks in the back row. Fucking Lucy. But, like, you're afraid that if she were to say something to you, like, I think you sounded really stupid because you think you sounded really stupid, that would really hurt your feelings, and you're afraid of feeling negatively about yourself, because sometimes when people think negatively about themselves, it sends them down a spiral. Maybe they overeat, maybe they aren't nice to themselves, and it causes a lot of problems for them in their life. So it's not necessarily the fear of other people's opinions, it's the fear of yourself and how you'll feel when you know what they think.
Yeah, and I think, like, when I first started public speaking, I started professionally public speaking in 2017, and I think when I first started, I would go into every single presentation, I would go into every single room and being like, holy fuck, I'm gonna blow this. Like, I'm not going to do well at all. This is going to suck. I don't want to do it. And then I'd come out of it and I'd be like, oh, that's fine. I did okay. Like, I did pretty well. But it was almost like I didn't want to go into a situation being like, wow, I'm going to kill this. Like, I'm so ready. I'm so confident in my work. I'm so confident in my voice, because I was afraid of, if I did screw up, how that would affect me and how that would make me feel about being a public speaker, or did people really think I was shitty? Did people think I was as shitty as I thought I was?
And, like, that comes back to the idea of creating meaning out of all of our experiences. Like, even if you had, so, like, let's say you went into something and you were like, okay, like, I'm gonna fucking kill this, and then you maybe, like, screwed up a couple things, you didn't feel great about it. You could have turned that into a meaning of, maybe I'm not supposed to be a speaker, maybe I can't lead people, and that's where things go wrong, because you're creating meaning out of an experience that's just information. Like, it's not ever a failure, it's just feedback. So instead of, I feel like sometimes people really interpret stuff like failure in quotation marks as, like, it means something about them, that they're not good enough or they shouldn't do something. But in reality, everything that happens to us is just feedback. it doesn't have to be like an actual meaning about anything. It can just be information that you choose to act on or you choose to not act on.
The idea of failure is so different from our own perspective versus other people's perspectives of us. Like, I don't know how many times I have been speaking to a crowd, I've been speaking to a group of people, and I've walked away and been like, shit. Like, I didn't do well. Like, I knew I was a little bit nervous. The video didn't play, so I had to, rephrase what the video was talking about. And I was a little bit, like, just not feeling great about how it went. And then I had people come up to me and being like, that was amazing. Thank you so much for that presentation. I had my boss come up to me being like, you kill it every time. Like, thank you so much. See you next week for the next one. Like, and I think our idea of what we do well and what we don't do well in is totally like, it's the only, because we're so critical of ourselves.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so difficult to step away from our own self-criticism to see ourselves and understand ourselves in somebody else's perspective and other people's point of view. And we never will be able to do that, I think. I don't think we can do that.
I don't think we'll ever be able to be objective to our own ideals, but that's why it's so important to like have like a guide or an objective worldview or like a coach, because they're able to see it from your perspective but also offer you that objective perspective as well. Mm-hmm. So like for you as a public speaking coach, like how do you offer that objectivity? How do you offer that objectivity to your clients? Like how do you help them through becoming a more confident speaker?
Yeah, I'd love to enroll you in my one-on-one coaching program.
She's not gonna.
You're a perfect candidate.
She's not gonna give us the tea.
I'm kidding. I think like it's funny because I think one of the first things that I tell people when, especially the people who come to me and they're like, I'm really worried about what other people think of me. I'm really worried that other people won't understand my personality or they won't see my personality shine through, whatever the heck they're saying. The first thing I actually tell them is that they're not that important. And I think it's hilarious because they're like, why am I paying you? And it's true.
You're
though.
Not
like
that special bitch.
But it's like, we're not that important. We are not. Like, we are not that important in the sense that somebody is going to be so critical and think about you so much all the time about how much you screwed up, what you look like. Nobody's going to think that way. Only you are.
So true.
And I think how I offer that is shifting really what public speaking is. I don't know if you got this on the other recording, but people think of public speaking so formally. They think of it as a microphone and a stage, and it's not. It really isn't. It's the conversations we engage in every single day. It's raising our hand when we're in class. It's having the confidence to talk about your services and sell your services and be confident in that. It's anything that allows you to open your mouth and say something. And I think we forget that.
Yeah.
And we approach it so differently. But when it comes to public speaking and when it comes to speaking up and talking to people, you have to remember that you're not talking to a room full of people. You're having a conversation and you have something to say.
Yeah.
Public speaking really is just you having a conversation with your audience. You having a conversation with the person who's listening. And even if it's one person, 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, you're still opening your mouth, saying what's on your mind, speaking your truth, and telling your story in some sort of way. And I think we forget the essence of what public speaking is, and we label it so scary.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, we think of it as a goddamn spotlight all the time, but it's really like you and I talking right now. Like, we are practicing our speaking skills every single day. We are genuinely engaging in public speaking all the time. And I think redefining and reframing what public speaking is the best thing to do to make you feel confident in raising your voice and using it.
I wonder about, like, in schools, how they can better prepare children for something like that. Because I know, like, my first experiences with public speaking were those speeches we had to do in public school.
Yeah.
And, like, those were so nerve-wracking. And then after that, it's like you go in front of your peers in like high school and you have to do like presentations, and they are so formal and they are so scary that like some people like develop an aversion to it in terms of like thinking that it's such a professional thing.
Well, so think back to when you're in public school. They want you to write your speech. Yes. Remember, they wanted us to write our speech, memorize the speech,
and then repeat it.
That is not, like, the way that you write is not the way that you speak.
So true. Mm-hmm.
Right? And it is completely different. So it's very unnatural to stand up and read a script.
Yeah.
That, yes, it is your words, but it's written, and it's not the same way that you would actually speak. And that's how we've been programmed to think about public speaking. We think of it so formally. Mm-hmm. But it's not. And that's the problem. We think of it as memorizing a speech all the time, and it isn't. It's sharing your message and spreading what you're passionate about, and literally just opening your fucking mouth and speaking your truth.
And you were also saying on the last recording that like you can't get better at it until you like continuously practice it. And like even if you think that like you're not practicing because you're not on a stage, like you're doing it all the time. If you're on your Instagram stories talking and like you're having a hard time like staying within those like 15 seconds or whatever, or you feel like you're doing like so many slides because you have so much to say, like there are so many different opportunities to practice your public speaking, doing stuff like this, like doing like episodes on a podcast or doing an IGTV or an IG Live. So like especially with coronavirus, we have the fact that we can't get into rooms with people, but like you're still public speaking by showing up on live, talking on stories. You're still doing that every day, and the more you use your voice, the more you hone your message, like you can get it across in a better and more efficient way. Yeah. I think I was also talking about this on the last recording, how the episode that I decided to not do because
we still love you.
We still love you. I'm never going to release your name. But like the episode I decided to not release and wanted to record this with Larissa instead was because that interview was just so rigid. I had set questions that I wasn't even listening to the other person. I was just on to the next question. I was so nervous. So it was very like, it just wasn't a great episode. And I feel like that was in September. So now I feel like I've really like honed my message and really like know that I'm just speaking to that one person who needs to hear what I have to say. And I don't need a script. I don't need like to have a rigid set of expectations or rules that I need to follow. Yeah. I just need to say whatever comes to mind because my ideal client is going to hear it and they're going to like just really receive what I have to say.
Yeah. And I think that's literally the essence of public speaking, is just communicating with somebody who's willing to listen. And everybody's listening, right? Like we have 7 billion people in this world, but every single individual is valuable to society. And every single story of 7 billion people, every single story matters and makes up.
Okay, so we have the quote.
That's the quote.
Okay, you have to re-say it because it's recording now. Okay, go.
There can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you, but one does.
That was very creepy and weird.
I don't know why I said it like that.
But that's the quote that I thought of, and it's because like there could be 100 people in the room and one person just has to receive your message, just like on social media. You could be speaking to your thousands and thousands of Instagram followers,
which I definitely for sure have.
Right. And you're speaking to them, and one person could hear your message and be like, I need to work with this person. And I think that's just like the essence of everything we do as service providers, is like you're not ever gonna work with everybody in the world, but like what you do and your energy and who you are is gonna resonate with somebody. Your story is gonna resonate with somebody, and that's why it's important to use your voice.
To use your voice and share your story, whatever whatever it is and however it sounds, and owning your flaws and owning your voice and owning your story, even the parts that you don't necessarily love and enjoy. That's all part of the process.
Yeah, and like I think when you do that, you give other people permission to love and acknowledge the parts of themselves that they don't necessarily love.
He's eating your hair.
Chester's eating my hair. He's like, is it breakfast time yet?
He's like, you guys have recorded this 5 times.
Anyways, Larissa, we're going to end this how we ended it the last time.
The Fast 5?
No Fast 5.
Why?
That's what ruined us last time. We were like, Fast 5? I looked at it, not recording.
Saved us more time.
Your inner imposter, what was her name again?
I don't have a name. I don't know. She sucks.
It's very helpful, and everybody loves this exercise. You better participate.
Can I name it Jillian?
No, that's a beautiful name. What is it? It's Cecile.
Oh, it was Cecile. It was Cecile.
So Cecile is your
my alter ego, my drunk alter ego.
Your
No,
inner imposter's name. Hey. And what is your higher self's name? So some people do like Sasha Fierce. I have Rachel because that's my middle name.
I feel like I've never thought about naming my higher self because I am my higher self.
Wow, so inspirational. Bunch of bullshit. This is from imposter to empowered.
I'm fucking empowered.
We're on the journey, but we're not quite there yet.
I'm there.
Anyways,
set.
Larissa, thank you so much for being on the pod. Now we're going to watch Cheaper by the Dozen with Hilary Duff, because is there ever not a good time for Hilary Duff?
There's never.
Tell us where we can find you on Instagram and your website.
Sure can, Jillian. So you can find me at Soapbox Moments on Instagram, and if you want to know what Soapbox Moments means, check out the highlight on my Soapbox page. And then my website is www.soapbox-moments.com.
Thank you so much again for being on the pod.
So welcome. Love being on the pod.
Yeah, this has been really great.
Great.
And
I'm gonna pour a glass of wine.
Okay, great. It's my birthday in half an hour.
Oh my god, it's already 11:30?
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for being on. If you guys are interested in one-to-one packages or group coaching with Larissa,
or workshops,
or any of if you are in the Toronto area,
or you want to grab a coffee or tea. I drink tea, but
or you want to grab a tea with Larissa.
I like to talk a lot.
She loves to talk.
Talking.
As you can tell, it's been like half an hour. So you can definitely reach out to her on Instagram or go through her website. So thank you guys. Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with me, Jillian Parekh. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me at Your Coach Jill. Of course, I'd love for you to rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review. And if you screenshot your review and send it to me at Your Coach Jill on Instagram, I'll send you a free gift. At the very least, make sure you follow me on Instagram, again at Your Coach Jill, for tons of free content, strategies, and inspo. See you next time.